All right, guys, welcome back to the Hemo Life podcast. Today's episode is about identity. It's about what happens when pain tries to define you, whether that pain comes from addiction, trauma, or a chronic disorder like hemophilia that you never asked for. Because when suffering stacks on top of fear, isolation, and identity struggles, it can either break someone or force them to evolve. And today, we're talking about evolution.
We're joined today by Dr. Robb Kelly, internationally known addiction expert, speaker, and recovery advocate. He lost everything to addiction and rebuilt his life from rock bottom. But what makes his story more powerful isn't the recovery, it's the rewiring. He teaches that addiction isn't just a substance problem, it's a thinking problem. And today we're going to explore how he applies that far beyond addiction. Dr. Robb Kelly, welcome to Hemo Life.
Thank you so much, guys. Good to be here.
All right, sir. So for anyone who hasn't heard your story, give us a condensed version to start off. What was your rock bottom and what started the shift?
The rock bottom bit for me is I took my first drink at the age of 9. So multiple things happened during that. I lost my children, wife left, kids, house, all the stuff went. And rock bottom for me, dying twice on the streets and 5 other attempts was just that one night came when I just dropped down and knew that I was on my hands and knees and everything came to reality that I couldn't stop drinking. That was my lowest point. It shocked me to even think that was the problem I was going through, because I always thought it was manageable. I always thought it was just some bad stuff I'm going through. And the more losses and the more pain. And yeah, that was the nightmare. I don't think even when my kids were taken off me, there was still hope for a future. But when everything is stripped away, when you're calling your mom and dad at home, and back in the day used to ring, they say hello and you'd put the money in. You go, hello, hey, Mom, phone would go down. She'd hang the phone up. And it was that feeling of loss, abandonment, fear, shame, guilt, remorse. And I just didn't want to live anymore.
Yeah, I love how vulnerable you are. And I think that that's your power. I've had the opportunity to listen to multiple podcasts that you've done, and it's crazy how vulnerable you are. And I've kind of prided myself when telling my story to be vulnerable as well. But listening to how vulnerable you were, it's kind of inspired me even a little bit more, because I think that's how you truly impact people.
And I'm just curious, like you just said, you're essentially at rock bottom. What was the internal switch in your brain that just went off and you're like, hey, I have to make change? And at the moment when you realize I can't stay here anymore, I need to rebuild.
Well, it was that Sunday morning, Monday morning, Sunday night, early hours of the morning. I had what's called a spiritual awakening as an atheist, because I tried everything else. I couldn't do it. But it's when I looked up to the sky and said, and I believe in God, guy. I don't go to church. I don't read the Bible. I don't believe that God wants me in a room somewhere at 10 a.m. on a Sunday. It doesn't work like that for me. So I just said, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. And the next thing, this guy walked around the corner, middle of nowhere. And his story was that he'd missed his last bus home from Bible study. He'd been walking for over an hour or something, and he took a shortcut he's never took before, and he came upon me. And that's kind of where the whole journey turned around. It gets crazier than that, but that's when it first turned around. And I have to say, back in the day, it was on no effort of my behalf. I tried all human. I've tried everything I could as a family man, businessman, entrepreneur, clever, intelligent guy. Nothing was working. So that was the big turning point for me, thinking there's something bigger out there that doesn't want me to die. And that's what I kept thinking throughout this journey. And it seemed, for me anyway, to be true.
I can relate. I mean, I'm very close with God. I'm a Catholic, and but I haven't always been close to God. I will say that. I mean, you can be spiritually close to God, like you said, not necessarily attending mass and going through the sacraments, or even attending whatever formal arrangement, we'll call it. But for me, I thought, I'm going to do everything myself. I don't need God. I don't need this. I don't need that. And I actually hit rock bottom twice in my life, where I feel like God was looking down and like, okay, you want me to help you, or you want to keep beating your head against the wall? Okay, let's see. Let's do this again. And so really that brought me back into the church, brought me back into, practicing as a Catholic. And just, I don't know, I think sometimes God just lets you do what you think is best, and then really knowing his will and trusting his will and trusting in God, and just being, like I said, vulnerable, and to say, hey, here it is. I trust you.
So
So
since your spiritual awakening that you had, has your relationship and your, I guess, your perspective on God's power in this world, like, has that changed? And do you look at this whole like differently now?
100% it's changed. Excuse me. The things that I've been through, the things that I've achieved, the things that has happened to me along the way, that I got cancer and they disappeared, and all the things prove to me that God is looking after me today. And as long as I keep working with his kids, everything's going to be revealed and everything's going to be okay. But I have one of the mindsets that I do not want to be average. Like if I'm going to be a plumber, I'm going to be the best plumber in Texas. I'm
Yeah.
not settling for being It's the same with my life. Everything I touch, I want to master it. Guitar, music, stuff like that. Neuroscience, is there all of the way. And I remember telling somebody that I don't go to church and I don't read the Bible. And he said to me, yeah, but what arrangement did you make with God?
Mhm.
And it floored me. I'm like, well, I made arrangements. I remember at John's house, this angel guy, and told him that if you work with God's kids, go out there and guarantee people will come up. I will give you everything you want, and I'll give you big platforms as long as you keep working with our kids and saving lives. And that was the guarantee that me and God made, was if I keep doing that, you're going to be okay. Don't worry about you and never worry about money or friends, anything. In actual fact, I'm going to give more money than you ever imagined, so you can give more money away. That's how we do this deal. So, yeah, I mean, people come to me and go, hey, listen, so I'm not spiritual. I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. And my first question is that, are you willing to change that? And if they say, no, I can't help you. And they go, what? You've got to be, I'm not saying you've got to be anything. What I'm telling you is once we have a spiritual awakening where the power of the mind connects with another power outside us and your neural pathways change, your freaking DNA changes. So if we can't change your DNA, we can't help you. Now, people get crazy about that. You're turning money down. We have turned millions of dollars down. Millions of singers who just wanted to throw their own weight. I'm not here, man. No.
yeah, I mean, I recently heard something. It was on Instagram or Facebook. I can't remember, but someone said like praying to God for just like, hey, I need money. God's not looking for like, oh, you're just asking for money. God wants you to like ask for wisdom, ask for favor, ask for guidance. He wants these higher heavenly things versus, if you think about it, money, think about it, scammers, they can get money. Crooks, they can get money. Money's it's almost like a side effect or a byproduct of these higher heavenly things. Like you just said, for you prayed to God and he said, hey, let's make this arrangement. The arrangement, you help my kids and you'll have all this stuff added to you. And so I don't know. I just feel that I can really connect to that. I really can.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's
the thing is with God, I think we ask for so little and he wants to give us so much, but we get, I don't know, I don't know. I asked for a huge house. And the agreement between me and God was, I'll give you a huge house as long as A, you keep the top floor open for people that are struggling that you can keep in your house, and B, that every Sunday you hold a barbecue where hundreds of people can come down, and we call it Sober Sundays, and you bring your families down. Ask for stuff. Guys listening to this at home, if you're doing God's work, ask for stuff that we don't ask. Everything is there for you. You just need to know the rules of engagement. That's all it is. I don't have to go to church on a Sunday to realize what God wants from me. Because I'll tell you something right now. I have everything, guys. I have toys, all this stuff, everything. But when I get to heaven, I know what God is not going to ask me. How much was that Bentley you bought, Rob? How much? He's not going to ask me. How many people did you help? How many people did you bring to me, Rob? That's the one I want to know from you, not the other stuff I gave you. I know that. How many people did you save?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. See, we work with a lot of different patients in the hemophilia community who are struggling. And there's been patients, actually one of the guys that's going to be joining asking you a question. When I first started working with him and trying to help him just as a friend, he didn't believe in God either. And that's, I didn't press it, but every once in a while I would slip it in. And one thing that really stands out to me in my life is, I don't know where I heard it, but it was somebody was just saying, well, test God, test him, try him. And I did that with him one day. And actually you played a role in that he was really struggling and we were able to come through for him. And now he's uses God as, he sees the power of God because he tested him.
God is circumstantial. God is circumstantial. And I'll tell you why. True story. Flying home from England back to Dallas, Texas, 8 years ago or something. It was pouring down with rain. There was lightning. It was a terrible evening when we took off. And we're in the air for about 20 minutes. The captain comes on going through lightning, blah, blah, blah. Put your seatbelts on. Do not stand up, please. We're going to go through some turbulence. Everybody started strapping in. And then all of a sudden we dropped because he must have been missing. We dropped, that felt like about 10 seconds. And everybody grabbed hold of the arms of the chairs and everybody went, and you could hear a pin drop on that plane. And my friend leant over to him and he went, "Hey, Rob, how many atheists do you think are on this plane right now?"
Yeah.
Circumstantial. When it gets bad enough, you'll start to believe, I'm not believing in God. Good for you. Good for you. But for me and my teachings and my belief and my life and my friends, he has to be there. Otherwise, I'm not here.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that's the beauty of being at rock bottom, is maybe you wouldn't even ask yourself those questions or get to find yourself in that scenario. So sometimes that's the blessing through that. But I want to make a little shift real quick. So let's talk about something real. In the hemophilia community, chronic pain has been a part of many people's lives. Sometimes that's led to opioid dependence. Sometimes alcohol becomes the escape. From your experience, what are the early warning signs someone is moving from coping to dependency?
Well, when I look at the stats that we've looked at and studied, 90% of people that come to us with a drug addiction started in the doctor's office. So first of all, you have to start being, careful and looking after yourself and finding out what's right or what's wrong. The third leading cause of death in America is the medical fraternity. So just because some back doctor is getting a backhand from somebody, Purdue or somebody, sell their drugs doesn't mean it's good for you. So if you're taking a drug once a week, even let's say he's taking cocaine once a week, and it's manageable, it's still cocaine. It's still affecting the brain. That is unreversible to the dopamine that's released of 1,000,000 times more than it should. Your brain will never fully recover from that. Now, that might be 0.0001%, but you have to start looking at your behavior around. Is it a dependency you have, or are you going out weekends just to enjoy yourself? Is there addiction in the family? Or do we have any members around us from extended family members that suffer from that stuff? It's kind of a self-care we all go through our teens and our college and we all go a little bit crazy, but when you're trying to be a sensible guy making a difference in this world, you've got to realize that everything that you put in your body, it makes a difference to your body and brain. Everything. Most of the stuff we eat, we can't methylate it. So that's where the illnesses comes from, because it's a deficiency. So I think if you're getting up every day, if you're spending too much money, if you're go on vacation with the wife and you're missing out the time because you're trying to score drugs to the local dealer, I mean, that's a big problem, man. It really is a big problem. Where's it affecting your life, and can you do without it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm obviously a primary care doctor and I do a lot of weight loss. I do a lot of the GLP-1 medications and I help folks lose weight. I mean, I have a big patient panel. I've helped patients lose thousands of pounds at this point. But one of the things I really see is early on. I mean, we have so many processed foods. We have sugar. Sugar is like the first addiction. And food addiction is a big, I guess, driver. I mean, patients go from like food addiction to then alcohol addiction to drug addiction. And you're just, like you said, hitting that dopamine receptor, hitting that dopamine receptor. And so even as a young kid, you're getting like a reward as, oh, you did something good. Well, here's a sweet treat. Here's sugar. I mean, I have 4 kids, so they're always wanting sugar, but you're almost, I guess your receptors and your biology is almost taught at an early age that reward. And then, as you get into your adolescence and adulthood, you start, there's alcohol and then there's other substances that I feel like many Americans struggle with, but I feel like it starts with the poor food choices, even, in childhood. And so, do you see that maybe correlating folks that are obese or have other, I mean, it could be other addictions like a shopping addiction are more likely to develop, I guess addiction in their later life, or even the adverse childhood events?
Yeah, I see that a lot. The problem with food in this country over the last 15, 20 years is it's not food. So we're not on the evil battlefield here. You are with other stuff that you take because you know what you're taking. If you take a medication from the doctor or you start smoking, you kind of know what you're doing. With food, it's kind of a con. We could go to the local store now and we could spend $200. And I'm betting you right now probably $1 million, $160 of that food we're not meant to methylate as human beings. So if you're picking something up from the shelf and the first ingredient is canola oil, put it back. We can't methylate rancid oil, sunflower oil, all that. We cannot methylate it. And then you look at, let's say McDonald's fries in England has 6 ingredients. Over here, it's 27 ingredients. You look at anything you pick up from the shelf. We did a live TV thing on national TV a couple of months ago, and I was proving this point. And we walked in blind to a store, and across this health food section. By the way, if your supermarket's got a health food section, what the hell is the other food? But that's by the by. And one stood out with 9 grams of protein, 0 fat. And I'm like, oh my God, guys, look at this. And we took it off and we spun it around. The first ingredient, canola oil, and there was 32 other ingredients in there. So what happens to the human body, and one of the reasons that people believe that you can pass heart disease down from families to families, which it's biologically impossible. So what happens is, I say my father eats something, he's on a staple diet that they eat because that's what they can afford. And let's pretend that beans is something with so many chemicals in it that he can't methylate. So the food that we put in our bodies, guys, we don't use it in that source. It has to be changed to a source that we can use. So it has to be methylated into a source we can use. 95% of the things that are being sold, we can't methylate. So if you can't methylate it, there becomes a deficiency in the body and brain. When there's a deficiency, it causes the illnesses. So when I leave home, I'm kind of eating beans and toast and stuff just like my dad and my family did. I can't methylate the beans because my dad couldn't. Nothing to do with the heart disease right now. But then I've got the deficiency and I can't methylate that eventually turns into the heart problems. And everybody's telling us that it's hereditary, because that's not true. And these latest reports will be coming out in the next couple of months as we're talking to some very important people. But we're led to believe certain things, especially about food. Food industry gets you sick and the pharmaceutical companies will keep you sick. You are no good as a healthy human being in America. No good to anybody. And then obviously you've got the physicians like you that are doing the right thing. One of the reasons I came on the show is because you guys are doing the right thing. We turn down 20 of these shows a week, I think, or a month, I don't know. But people are changing the world. We love coming on. But this is what the general public doesn't know. They think that just because they're going to a supermarket and buying chicken, that it's chicken. No, it's not the case. Do your research.
Recently, actually on the Joe Rogan podcast, we had RFK Jr. He was on there talking about, health, wellness. I mean, he's a big guy that is really enthusiastic about peptides. And he even mentioned that, there was 19 plus peptides back in the Biden administration that were taken off and put into a different category so compounders couldn't compound it. And he's like, no, it wasn't a safety issue. It was literally just, he did it. And he's like, no, in 2 weeks, we're going to reverse this and allow this access. And in my opinion, so I'm a DO, I'm an osteopathic physician. Okay. So there's surgery, there's medications, there's manipulative therapy. We it's like almost like a chiropractic style of medicine for our viewers. And then in my opinion, the fourth thing is going to be these peptides, these naturally occurring peptides that can really help folks. And on top of that, we have cognitive behavioral therapy. I feel like you said, having the pharmaceutical companies just tell you, this is it, there you go, and goodbye. I feel like that is what America really needs that education, because, worldwide, we need that education, because I would never have guessed that patients would come to me and go, oh yeah, I want a GLP-1 or I want NAD. I was like, where did you hear that from? And now it's becoming more common knowledge, but there is all these other things that folks can really dive into. It's simply even talking about food, like we're having on this conversation, is really, people don't know what's good, what's bad. They don't know. They're just looking at labels.
Yeah, I've just lost 155 pounds over the last 18 months.
Wow.
And GLP-1, I started taking about 8 months ago, and it's made a big difference to me. But like you said, the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors take this and take this. And we did our research around that. First of all, we have people here most of weeks that come in, brand new. Dr. Robb, I feel so depressed. Oh my God, Mrs. Smith, I'm so sorry. How long has this been going on? About 5 years. Oh my God, 5 years? My God, do you take anything for that? Yeah, I take Wellbutrin. Oh, how long have you taken the Wellbutrin? About 3 years. So when do you think it's going to kick in?
Yeah.
Because it isn't kicking in. But people do that. They think that the medical fraternity is the only answer. And what we found out, that it's rarely the answer. When at conference, I ask people in the audience, has anybody, apart from antibiotics, which we take, which I'm still not a great lover, but Have you ever gone to the doctor for an ailment? Is give you a pill for that ailment. You've taken it. It's cured the illness, and you never have to take the pill again? Yeah, I didn't think so, because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we practice, like I said, sick medicine, not preventative, and that's why I pivoted
Yes.
in more of a preventative. I was a hospitalist working with patients that had heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, limb amputations for 4 or 5 years. I was a medical director of a hospital, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm seeing 30, 40-year-old people come in dying, and these people are my age." I'm like, "I have to take a step back and figure out, okay, I learned things in medical school, but obviously we didn't learn that. We didn't talk about diet. And basically I focused on, hey, if I intervened in that patient's life 5, 10, 15 years ago, they wouldn't be sitting here with a myocardial infarction known as a heart attack at 31. Now this guy can't provide for his family. He was a construction worker, or that person that she was a hairstylist at 39. Now she can't move her hand and her life is ruined. So that's where I started pivoting. I love this synergy that we have together. We're talking about how we're helping folks really change their life from addiction, whether it's addicted to food, alcohol, drugs. Addiction is running rampant. And I think it's awesome that we're bringing this to the surface.
Yeah. So for anyone who's listening right now to our show, no matter what the addiction is, it could be alcohol or, taking pills in secrecy. What is the first honest step that they would need to take?
Well, start dialogue with somebody. That's all. Don't be ashamed. You probably think you're the only one doing this and you're so shameful. And it's like, no, start dialogue. When I talk to you about something, buddy, mom, dad, friend, somebody you don't know, start dialogue with somebody. When you share it with somebody, it'll give you a true insight. Definition of insanity, where we work right now, is the inability to see one's truth. So we can't see our own truth. So that's why we're insane. We've got to have somebody else to show us and tell us what's going on with us, because we can't do it. You've got to just be smart, guys. Don't trust other people's life, to other people. It's like diabetes. Speaking to Gary Brecker the other day about this, and he said, if somebody asked me, how do I get diabetes? Do you know what I'd do? I said, I don't know, Gary, tell me. He said, I'd send them to the diabetes website, because what they've got on there, especially starting with fresh orange juice, you'd have diabetes within 6 months. And we were laughing, and then I researched it, and then I called him a couple of days ago. Holy crap, you're right. He says, I know. You just find out what you're taking, find out, what's going on with you, call us, just find out of sensible people that are not in it to strip money for you and keep you sick. Everybody can have an amazing life. Everybody can recover from most illnesses. There's two things diseases are down to two things: toxicity and deficiency. What am I being poisoned by? And what am I deficient in? Boom, drop mic, walk away. That is it. There's no other questions. And all the illnesses in the human body start in a hypoxic area. So if we're only breathing 45% of our lung capacity, these diseases can be rampant. But we don't know, because we think we're doing okay and everything's amazing. It's not. We walk around about 45 to 55% of our capability in life. Why are you not doing 100, guys? Like me and 11,000 patients are treated. Why aren't you walking around 100% of what you're supposed to be here? Find your niche, find what you're good at. I couldn't work in a corporate office. I couldn't work for somebody. I'd be like a little kid in the corner, not knowing what to do. And people go, look at Rob, he's dumb. He doesn't know. Find your niche. Stop asking a cow to climb a tree. It's not your pond. Go find out where your people are. Go find out what your niche is. Start researching your life. There should be people living to over 100, man. But because of all the crap that we're eating on a daily basis, it's killing us. And nobody wants to talk about it. We're talking to Kennedy right now about this BreathBox Studio software that we created about changing neural pathways and with subliminal messaging stuff. So yeah, we're kind of as annoying as you guys. We ain't going away. We have the truth, and we're not listening to any shit from you guys.
If you could rewind time, going back to your story a little bit, one of the questions I had for you is, would you ever rewind time and remove the pain? Or is that necessary to who you are today?
Yeah, guys, it really is. So I look at my homelessness and my pain and my loss and all that stuff I went through, the dying on the streets, as a semester at Harvard. That's what I look at it. It was the teachings. It was the education. I mean, we can't, if we are chosen, whether it's medically or scientifically, or when we are chosen by God, this is my truth here. He has to take you back to school. because today, if you're a therapist, guys, and you're dealing with alcoholics, but you haven't dealt with it yourself, please don't, because you have no idea what we're going through. No idea. So no, every pain, every tear, every cry has
You
kind
lost a
of been
lot. I mean,
replaced.
you lost your
I lost
family, you
everything.
lost everything, and I'm experiencing some of that too. So I personally truly want to know. A lot of people who suffer from hemophilia, this is something that they didn't choose, but it's somehow, like, for me, I had to change my perspective on. I heard a quote one time was to play your hand of cards like it was the one that you've always wanted. And once I changed my mind to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I didn't deserve this hemophilia, this chronic disorder, all this pain. But, just like what you did was you found a way to take the pain and make something so beautiful out of it. And, but it's like the same thing for me. It's like, would I rewind time and take away my hemophilia?
I wouldn't.
Like, what I say, and sometimes that's hard to say, because now that we see the impact in the lives that we're changing, like you, it's like, man, like I lost some relationships. I lost a bunch, but the impact too, it's just, I don't know. It's a tough.
That's why we're better than others. This is why we're more qualified. God chooses us. Say to my girl all the time, whether you like it or not, you've been chosen to do this because you have to do it. He handpicks us to do this, man. And he takes us through the losses and the pain. And then later on down the road, he restores all that stuff. But you have to go through that, because you're going to sit in front of somebody one day and they go, nobody understands me. And you go, yeah, I do. Well, I've done that. What? Yeah. And all these boxes, because I'm old, I've been through all this, all the boxes are checked, man. And you can't get paid in money the look that you get from somebody that looks in your eyes and goes, I've found somebody who knows what I'm talking about and can relate with me. That's priceless, man. So would I go back, or you guys? No, that would be selfish. It's not about us. The biggest day I found out it wasn't about us, my life opened up and I stopped giving a shit what people thought about me. It's not about me. How many people can you heal? God's going to ask. Not, I'm sorry I took you through that. Was that painful? I'm not interested in that. How many people did you heal? Because he doesn't give this to the scientists and the surgeons. He gave it to us. He gave it to us three right here to do this. He doesn't give it to anybody else. And everybody are going through stuff that's just as bad as what we've been through. But they don't get to highlight it like us, because they don't get platforms like us, that God's given us these platforms to stand on, so we can actually say, here's me. And I was where you are. And I thought I was the only person in the world that was going through this. And it's no. We're here as teachers. We're here as healers, because we have information and teachings that nobody else has.
It's a lonely path, though.
It is.
I think that I'm struggling because you want to be understood, but I know that I'm going through something. I keep on going to God to ask me to help me to get through it, because I know the beautiful things that are happening, but no one else can see it. And that's the hardest part.
I know. And I
mean, the people you impact see it, but like, I'm talking about the relationships that were ruined. Like, no matter what you do good in the world, those people are always going to put you in a bubble of, no, you're a criminal. No, you've done this, you did that. So that this other person you're trying to be, that's fake. This is who you truly are.
Not your pond. That's not your pond. That's a pond that you use to fish in. So if you're fishing in a pond with the same fish, and you promote and get out of there into a nice pond, the guys there is going to treat you how you was. Your past does not define us. They like to think it does. Everything you've lost will come back. You're only a young kid. Everything you've got will come. My daughter come back. Everything you want will come back, man. The guys that don't appreciate who you are and what you've done, they're not your people. And this is one of the biggest things I had to understand, is I want everyone to like me. They're not going to like me. I earn over $1 million a year. They're not going to like me. They're going to freaking hate me from where I've come from. And that's okay. That's okay, man, because that's not my pond anymore.
Yeah.
You hung around 9 depressed people and you bitter 10. I say people all the time. I could go back to Manchester right now on the projects, right? And I could help those people. I just can't live there anymore because we don't speak the same language when it comes to living. If that makes sense.
I mean, it does. I mean, growing up, like you said, not fishing in the same pond. I mean, we grew up in the 80s. I'm 38 years old, going to be 39. And having hemophilia, you actually were looked at as, even my own family members, oh, you have a bleeding disorder? Oh, hemophiliacs, they get HIV, they get AIDS, because we've had multiple people that we know that have died from blood transfusions,
Yeah.
and they got, AIDS and died. So, I was looked at as like, well, even by my own family members, we don't want to touch Joseph. We don't want to be around Joseph.
Yeah.
So you get like that, you get that essentially like stereotypical card. Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
could have HIV. I could have, obviously the advancements in, hemophilia have been much better. We don't have that risk anymore. But back then it was real. And so, I was made fun of, I was bullied. And so going back to, would you ever want to have this reversed or taken it out of your life? I wouldn't be sitting here today as a physician. LA
Yeah.
would not, we wouldn't even be on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have helped all these other folks lose weight, do this, help people that, giving CPR in the hospital. Like there's so many things that have changed my life from having this disorder, this disability. I mean, I have, braces on my ankles. I can't walk real well. It has shaped me into the man I am today. So I think it's a blessing.
And I think all the things that I've done to change my life, like you start to attract the right people,
Yeah.
and like Dr. Joe, he's got hemophilia. I have severe hemophilia. We both do. We didn't connect again until recently. And we decided to take on this endeavor with the Hemo Life podcast stuff. So I think, having, you start to form these relationships. So it does become a little bit easier when you have someone who has the same mindset as you.
We attract what we think we are worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. If we don't think our worth, we'll attract those people. But we have to attract the things that we worth. I'd go out to dinner all the time with my wife. When the waitress serves us or lunch or something, I get the bill, I bring her over and I point her the tip line and I say, how much am I putting there? They go, I do. How much am I putting there? In other words, what's your worth? They go, just a waitress, what's your worth? And they may say $100, $1,000. I'm putting that down there. So 10 to 20, 30, 40 makes no difference. The thing is, I've just changed somebody's worth.
Yeah.
Because your worth is not what other people do. Your worth is pointing out the tip line going, how much are you worth? But doctors all the time call me, I finally got my own practice, Rob. We open next year. How much do you think I should charge? How much are you worth? Well, I mean, do you think 200's okay? I don't know. What do you charge? $2,500 an hour? Oh my God. Yep, that's my worth. Prove me wrong. You can't. This is where you start thinking and you're changing the mechanics of the brain and you're changing the cells into this person that you've always wanted to be. Well, guess what? You already are that person. You're never going to be ready to step up to that person, by the way, guys. So start acting, start walking, start eating like the person that you want to be. And quantum physics backs us up. You will become that person.
Yep.
Yeah. There was a quote that I love. I think it was maybe James Clear who said something like, every action you take is a vote on the person that you want to become. And I love that, because it's like, you might not be that person right now, but if you just keep on taking those daily actions, like when I wanted to be a bodybuilder and I wanted to compete at the Arnold and I wasn't that person, I would tell myself certain things every day to start to try to rewire my brain to be like, you are a great athlete, you are capable, you are these things. And then it's like, okay, you can say those things, but also what are the actions? Like, okay, well, I don't want to go to the gym today. So now I have a choice. Am I going to go or am I not going to go? And every action that I do take, that's one more vote for the person that I want to become. So I love that one.
So I have a quick question for you to piggyback off that for Dr. Robb here. So you mentioned obviously in the intro, entrepreneur, doctor, advocate. Like I feel like being a physician, in medical school, you're taught to do one thing.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, whoa. I don't come from doctors. My dad's a carpenter. My mom does sales. I don't know. Our house was foreclosed on twice growing up. Like I come from no money, like zero. And so I guess for me, I've always had to be that Swiss Army knife. I couldn't just be a doctor because I want to help folks, but I wanted to do more. Have you ever felt like similar where you're like, yeah, this is it. Like, I just want to be one thing. Like I've always wanted to do a bunch of things. Like if someone told me you can't do it, I'm like, I'm going to do it. Like you can't do that. I'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of it for me is I believe I can do anything I want. So we're in Texas. I don't know whether you know about Texas too much, but it's Tex-Mex. Mexican food, loves it. Everyone. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I said 3 years ago, I'm going to open a British cafe and restaurant next door to my offices in San Antonio. My financial guy, the people are, no, Rob, no, you can't. No, it's in the top 12% of most successful restaurants in San Antonio as of last week.
Are you serious?
I've got nonprofit. I've got the Breath Box. I've got 4 companies that are thriving that are bringing millions of dollars in. And do you know what everybody told me about them? You can't. You want to go to America and you want to be on national TV. Check. Of course I do. I'll do it. If you say I
Yeah.
can't do something just like you, it's like, says who? Yeah, I mean, no. Says who? Who's telling me I can't do these things? Because one of the reasons I have the restaurant, everyone loves it. We do the afternoon, we do all the British food, great, okay? But the reason I have the restaurant next door to me is on Sunday lunch when we close, open from 8 till 3 only. When we close at 3 o'clock, I take all the food that's left over, I stack it into my car. I drive down to the center of San Antonio where there's a bridge and all the homeless there, and I give the food out to all the homeless people. Nobody in the restaurant any knows we do that. So there's always the non-profit. I don't even know what money goes, what money comes out. I mean, we don't even want to see. That just goes straight out, man. You know, we just.
I love it.
You've got to do it, man. It's just like, listen. So I'm 65 next month. Okay. If we look at the Bible or just in average research, 75 is the average age. We'll all agree on that. I have 10 birthdays left. I have 10 Christmas times left. You think I'm going to sit in my ass there and start worrying what you think about me, guys? No, I'm going to do stuff. We had no experience whatsoever in restaurants. Nobody did. I brought my sister over. She's an office manager. She don't know about restaurants. But we believed we could do it, so we did.
That is so inspiring. And restaurant, that's a tough business to be in.
I'm telling you.
But the fact that you're donating, you're giving back, like you said, God, you make an agreement and he's going to help you. And like seek his kingdom first.
If your story isn't proof, to test God and see what happens, man. I don't know what else is. But Dr. Robb, if you don't mind, can we let two hemophiliac patients come in and ask you a question?
Beautiful.
Okay. Sounds good. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
Good afternoon.
This is Dr. Robb, guys. And Dr. Robb, we've got Jay Garman. He's a severe hemophiliac in Texas. And, well, actually, both of you.
Yeah, you're on.
And then Carlin. Carlin is also a severe hemophiliac in Texas.
Nice.
Correct.
Whereabouts in Texas are you guys?
Upper West Cove.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm in Houston, Texas.
We'll be in Houston in 5 weeks' time. I'm doing a seminar there. I'm going to look you up.
Oh, cool. Very
We're
awesome.
going to be grabbing lunch somewhere there. Definitely.
Well, guys, thanks for jumping on. I guess let's start with Jay because, me and Jay, we've been friends for, many, many years. And we have both been so obsessed with rebuilding who we were. Like the guys that you see today, like I remember back then, man, we were struggling and so bad, but we always had this belief in us that we just had to rewire our brain somehow and to become who we wanted to be, reinvent ourselves. And we both took a little bit different paths when it came to that. Your path has been a little bit more science-based. But anyway, Jay, you go ahead and ask Dr. Robb whatever questions you might have, man. I know you're excited for this opportunity.
I'm very excited. I have read a lot about you and I hear what you're about and it aligns directly with what I think and how I feel about the world. Within the last 7 years, I've been researching a thing called epigenetics, which is highly misunderstood still. When what keeps blowing my mind about this is that our genes are not set in stone. We can physically reprogram our genes, and it's based on how we react to the environment or react to the stress that we are in. So my question is if chronic stress can damage our genetic material, is it unreasonable to ask whether elevated emotional states of love and gratitude can produce the neurochemistry to heal our bodies?
So first of all, 100% it can. Secondly, I want to just mention Randy Jertle, who's a good friend of mine. We studied together. He's the grandfather of epigenetics. Just look him up. Randy Jertle, his name is. He started all this off about 40 years ago. But 100%. So there's 4 chemicals need to happen in the brain for us to be 100% happy, authentic, and make a difference in this world. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. Everybody knows that. But not a lot of people know that dopamine and serotonin, the two main neurotransmitters, are created in the stomach. So when you're eating properly and you're acting properly, you can change. We have tests and trials in jail. I'll share it with you one day. But we can literally change our being and ourselves with thought patterns and gratitude. And we can redivert. There are billions of neural pathways in the brain. Everybody knows that. But did you know that 300-ish die every single day? 300 neural pathways, thought patterns die every day. What are we replacing them with? Well, if we replace them with gratitude and good food, could show me a depressive person, I'll show you someone with gut issues, then we can 100% rebuild and retrain just by using our mind and listening to our body, somatic experience, into a thought pattern that will cure most illnesses. Now people freak out when I say that. Again, tried, proved, testing. We're the only guys that cure addiction and are working on Alzheimer's right now. But yeah, 100%. Fantastic question. Absolutely fantastic question. But yeah, so when you get up in the morning, the subconscious brain wakes us up. And the reason why the subconscious brain wakes us up is lack of oxygen. So the subconscious brain is the bad guy and the conscious brain is the good guy, obviously. But this guy wakes us up because it thrives in hypoxic situations during the night. On a normal circadian sleep pattern, between the hours of 2 and 5 o'clock is when the body is at its most repair. It's when oxygen is really low. It's also when most people die of natural causes at that time. So when we wake up, and the only reason why nobody's woke up laughing ever is no oxygen, very little. So when we get up in the morning, it's important that we do our 20 exaggerated breaths in and out. And this is what happens. So this guy is the subconscious. We wake up. If we do the breaths and the other morning work that we teach our patients, what happens is this. He dies because we're flooding the brain and body with oxygen. Now the conscious brain is alive. Now this guy's going to create some amazing things, the thought patterns, the feeling good, the epigenetics. But you see the subconscious brain? It's like this in the background all day long. And it will grab any minuscule that you don't think is going right and grab it and run the day. And patients come to me all the time. They go, Dr. Robb, I had a really bad day. And I go, was it really a bad day? Was it 5 minutes you strung out all day? All this is changing our cells. All this is changing the epigenetics behind the psychology of how we think and how we do. So definitely, great question, Jay.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was
All right, Carlin, welcome to the show, brother. What question do you have for Dr.
How's it going? How's it going? So my question would be, what is the real root of addiction that most people completely overlook when trying to help recover their addiction?
I love that question. So alcoholics are born, drug addicts are made. Alcoholics have a predisposition. We're allergic to ethanol, and the hypothalamus, basal ganglia, and the amygdala are different to any other human body or human being. Now, drug addiction, again, is the addictive personality. So the basal ganglia plays a big part in this. When we do something once, imagine a clock face, the basal, it's a repeated part of the brain. Repetition strengthens, confirms part of the brain. So let's say we want to fly a commercial jet. You need 10,000 hours in the air before you can not only legally fly one, but don't even have to think about it, kind of thing. So what happens with addiction is we get onto the addiction ladder and it goes around that many times for different reasons that it becomes a working part of the brain. Addiction can be cured. Any addiction can be cured. I'm not talking about alcohol, is about addiction, food, cake, porn. Because what we found is that the substance, the alcohol, the food, the porn has 1% to do with the addiction. So what we find is when we get people well by going back and clearing pathways and reprogramming brain patterns, because it's all in patterns, we found out that the alcoholic and the addict, when clean of all the trauma and replanted neural pathways, are actually geniuses. We're geniuses. I don't know one stupid alcoholic or addict. I don't know. So when people come here, we build them careers. I want to be, a podcaster. Okay, we'll buy you a website. We'll get you some cards. We'll launch you. I'll introduce you to my guys with the big podcast guys and Rogan and stuff. And then we retrain the brain to come away. So the biggest myth around addiction is A, I'm never going to be anybody, and B, I can't get over it. And that's not true. I used to love AA. I got sober in AA. I spent most of my life traveling the world speaking on behalf of AA. The book is amazing, but the people are crazy. So I stepped away some 4 years ago because they still believe that if I'm an alcoholic, then that's it, I'm an alcoholic or a drug addict, and that's just my worth. That's not who you are. If you had cancer, God forbid, and you went to the cancer hospital enough times and they say you're in remission, natural cure of cancer, would you still go back the next week and call yourself a cancer patient? No, because internal dialogue becomes very powerful. So out dialogue into us, Rob, you're a piece of crap. I take that on as internal dialogue. Oh God, I must be a piece of crap. And I start to believe that. There was a great experiment that we did back in the 1990s, I think it was. I'm not sure. I had a friend who was a schoolmaster at a private school. And we said to them, This is how early we got into the neuroscience. Before it was called neuroscience, I just knew the brain wasn't hardwired because of my own experiences. So the idea was we went down to the school. There was probably 25 young pupils there between, I don't know, 9 and 12 years old. And we told them that we had an exam that we're going to pass out. And it will tell you the top 3 students in your school, even if they're 8, 9, 10, who's going to go on to be captains of industry and they're going to change the world. And my friend headmaster said, that's impossible. And I said, well, get the board together and the parents and see if we could do this. It's just like 15 questions. It's nothing really. And they all agreed. So we went down on a Monday. We handed the test papers out. They all come in 30 minutes later. We said, we'll be back tomorrow with the top 3. So we went back the next day and we said, we got it. We got the top 3. And the headmaster and some parents were there. I said, well, who is it? I said, well, Johnny. Johnny? Yeah, Johnny Smith. Oh, okay. That's, are you sure? Oh, yeah, we're sure. We're very confident. And then Billy and then Julie. And I said, oh, my God, that's 2 of them? I said, I'm telling you, our research is 100%. I said, okay. We'll be back in 12 minutes' time. Please don't contact even my friend. Don't make no contact. We're back in a year's time. We went back a year later. They were waiting for us outside. There's loads of people waiting for us, all excited, cheering, clapping. We got out of the car. And he said, oh, my God, Doc, you will not believe this. Unbelievable. The top 3 you told us, one's been accepted to college. He's 11 years old, Dr. Robb, 11 years old. The other 2, blah, blah. It's unbelievable, Master. How did you know? We need to know. We need to call the government. How did you know? And we sat them down and said, here's what happened. We took the test papers away and we trashed them the next day. Then we picked 3 random names out of your school. And we come back and we told you they were going to be geniuses. And because we told you, you started treating them like geniuses, so they become geniuses. Wow. And that's 101 of life. That's if you get told enough, you can achieve something. Look at Roger Bannister. You might not know him, guys. Roger Bannister was the first guy that broke the 4-minute mile as a British guy. It was impossible. Nobody could do it. He broke the 4-minute mile one of his races. 3 days later, somebody else broke it. And 2 days later, and all of a sudden, 1,000 people had done the 4-minute mile. You can do anything that you put your mind to. And this is what people don't believe. Mind over matter. The mind sits inside the brain. Mind over matter. If you could control the mind first thing in the morning and throughout the day, there's nothing you can't do. And people, when I came over to America and I said, you can do anything you want, what most people would say back to me? Well, I can't be president of the United States. Let's forget our political views for a second. We had a freaking businessman first term in charge of America that had no political experience whatsoever. Don't dare tell me you can't achieve your dreams. Somebody's put that there. It's not true.
Yeah. And I will say this, what you just said really hits home to a lot of hemophiliacs because Jay, Carlin, you have probably been told you can't do X, Y, and Z. You can't. That's what we're told growing up. You can't. Well, we found out, yes, we can. And so, yeah, I just feel like anxiety, depression, that is very prevalent in the hemophilia community. It is because we're constantly told no. And what we're finding is that, like you just said, hey, they just told those individuals, no, you are a genius. No, you can do this. Mind over matter. I feel like this should resonate with a lot of our listeners because you can do this. You can do what you want to do.
I always tell people, this when they come, they say, well, Doc, to be honest with you, I don't believe it. And I go, okay, here's the deal. I'll book a court date tomorrow. You bring all the evidence that you can't do something. And I'll bring all the evidence that you can do that. And do you know that you're going to be sat there with a piece of paper, I've got 25 boxes behind me full of paper. And do you know what the court's going to do? They're going to throw you out the court for wasting their time. In fact, they might even charge you with contempt because you have no evidence that you can't do this. You have other people's opinions that you might, but you have no evidence. Give me one piece of evidence where you can't become blah. And they go, well, no, sorry, that's an excuse. Give me a reason why you can't do. And there isn't no reason. The only reason is our pre-thoughts and our early stages where people taught us how to be us, to be shameful. We used to kick a ball, football, like, soccer around the streets outside our houses. And we used to play a game. You kick it over to John. John, what are you going to be when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a doctor. What about you, Billy? I want to be a footballer. Do you know what happened to them dreams? I'll tell you. They were kicked out of us by our family and friends. That's why we didn't achieve. Stop letting people tell you can't do stuff when you can. If the people around you are not lifting you up, they're not your people. And this is what people find hard. They're not your people. Stop trying to teach a cow how to climb a tree. It's not going to happen. You know, go to a leopard, climb a tree, and that's leopards are your guys because you climb trees. The cows are not your guys. And they used to be, God bless them, but they can't be your guys now. Because of what I would hate for anybody, especially the four of you on here, is to get to the age of 80 or 90, look back in your life to your 30s and 40s and realize two things. One, there was nobody watching. And two, you really could have done anything you fucking wanted to do because that's the truth. Nobody can stop you.
It is the truth. And, you know, you look at Carlin, just as an example, he's also a bodybuilder. Carlin, tell him a little bit about your coloring book. I mean, at an early age, like I just said, we're taught no, 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 no. And you're not this, you're not this, you're going to be this. Carlin, tell them a little bit about your coloring book and how you're inspiring younger generations. Yeah.
So basically, at a very young age, like we all have been talking about, and your last little segment that you said kind of almost brought me to tears because there's a lot of things in life that I kind of wanted to give a go, but I kind of really didn't. I pulled back due to the fact of me having the hemophilia, but I still got to enjoy that part of my life. So with the coloring book, it's more so of I'm giving the younger generation the key factors that we didn't have growing up. So like giving you that you are something, you are more than just hemophilia. So like there's pages in there that goes and say there's a page where it says a kid is falling on a skateboard, and the other page will have a kid with a skateboard, but a hemophilia patient with elbow pads, helmet, knee pads, and say, hey, we can do this. We just have to do this the safe way. Then there's also goes into about bullying and things of that nature. So those are kind of the things that I kind of went through having hemophilia. And I felt like with having a younger nephew that is going through hemophilia as well now, I felt like, okay, how can I create something for him to understand at the age of 10 and under versus when you go to these conferences at 10 and under, it's really just information for your parents. And sometimes the parents don't understand the information that is being given to them. So like, I feel like giving something to the hemophilia community so that they can grasp and hold on to, so they feel that they're not alone through the journey was the main key point of the coloring book.
I love that.
I think like what Dr. Robb was saying about the Roger Bannister story, that's what we are all doing. That's why we all came together. All of us are super close, and all we're doing is really trying to change belief, you know, removing those limited beliefs through our own actions and leadership. And, you know, that's why it's been so awesome to have you on here, Dr. Robb. Is there any practical ways if somebody says today, okay, yeah, I was raised to tell myself I can't do this, I can't do that, but I want to change. I want to be different. What can they do over the next month, 2 months on a daily basis that's going to practically help them start eliminating those subconscious thoughts that are telling them they can't and they're not enough?
Well, first of all, we're going to write 3 things down on paper, pen to paper, not type, of what we're going to achieve this month. That's it. Find the 3 down. Now we need to start believing in ourselves and changing patterns of self-sabotage. So I'll give you 3 things tomorrow morning, guys, that will change your life. And it's not a case of, well, I hope it will change your life. It's biologically impossible not to change your life. The stuff I'm going to give you now, and it's really simple. Again, let's go back to the breath work. The only reason why we feel good going to the gym is not the weight. It's starting between the sets. Don't be fooled. We need to get oxygen. So when you get up tomorrow morning, guys, sit on the bed, don't stand. You will go dizzy. Otherwise, you're not doing it right. And I need you to take 20 exaggerated breaths in and out quickly. It's going to look something like this. Really exaggerate and out. Let's flood the brain and every single cell in the body with pure oxygen. The subconscious brain hates that. So once we do that, we're alive, okay? Go in the bathroom, stand in front of the mirror, stand 6 feet away from the mirror, and say, I love you 10 times. We're stacking the subconscious brain now. Please don't get nearer to the mirror, guys, because when we get near to the mirror, we see all our blemishes. That's how we think people see us. But when you stand 6 feet away, the blemishes go, because let's face it, when's the last time you went into the office? Hey, Jim, we don't do that. But we think that's what people know. Stand 6 feet away, blemishes gone. Let's change the neural pathways patterning around. If 300 die every day, let's replace them with new patterns, new behavior. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, 1 week left, 1 week right, 1 week left, 1 week right. Let's start changing the patterns. All in patterns, whether we finally find out how to get into good patterns, which you will do eventually, but most of us are in bad patterns and don't know it. So we need to replace them thought patterns with new patterns, new dialogue, new introductions to different things. Otherwise, we stay in the same routine. So if I'm doing today what I did yesterday, and yesterday was a crap day, guess what? It's going to be a crap day today. You have to visualize stuff. Quantum physics backs us up. Let's say I've never played basketball, guys, and bridge, but let's say I did. I know there's 10 people on the court, maybe. Where would I want to be? If I can visualize 10 Dr. Robbs on the court, where would I want to be? I don't know what's called, but I want to be near the goal. I get the ball, I jump up, slam it in the neck, and all of a sudden I'm the hero of the game. Sounds brilliant. Question needs to be begged to ask, how do you get there? And this is the answer. You walk over and you take that position. We don't fall for it. We don't beg for it. The hard work has been done. The hard work was the pain. The hard work was the losses. It's been done. Stop worrying about, do I have to do any more work? You don't have to do any more work. For goodness sake, walk over and take the freaking position because you deserve it. And everybody who hears this today is hearing it for a reason. This is how the world works. And one of the reasons at 65 is I'm still doing this stuff. I'm sick to death of people dying and living to an old age without living. I see people die at 30, but they don't really die till 60 because the body just like, oh, I'm no good. I'm no good. Says who? Who's making these rules up? Who's asking these? No, we're each individually and eventually come together as a team because you've been chosen. So if you look about a psychological point of view, you don't have a choice over this. It's not about us. It's not. And when you start thinking like that and you can believe you can do anything in the world that you want to do, your identity starts to come back. Somebody who finds their identity away from illnesses, work, marriages become very dangerous people. Be a dangerous person. Who gives a shit about what you think about that?
All of us here, all hemophiliacs except Dr. Robb, but but basically, this goes out to everyone that's listening. I mean, this really changes your identity. This simple podcast and these simple little breadcrumbs that you can start your 30-day transition in 2026 and make it a habit. Make it a habit that you are, practicing that mindset, writing down 3 goals for the month. It's just, I don't know, it's really empowering to know that, like, yes, we do have hemophilia. Yes, we do have a severe bleeding disorder. We have to do intravenous infusions. We do have chronic joint pain, but we also are Dr. Joe. We also are LA. We're also Jay. We're also Carlin. We are somebody outside of this disorder. And I think that should raise up so many hemophiliacs listening to this podcast is listening to Dr. Robb's message. Yeah, that doesn't define you. Hemophilia doesn't define you. And you have to start thinking that way, not just speaking that way, thinking that way.
Yeah.
Think about who you are before the illness. I used to be an alcoholic called Rob. Now I'm Rob, and by the way, I used to suffer from alcoholism, if you ask. But you don't need to know about that. You just need to know my identity today is Dr. Robb Kelly. I'm a very powerful person in all kinds of ways, And stop thinking that I can't touch alcohol. There are people who can't touch cheese. You think you don't eat cheese? Why? It's not the same as alcohol. You don't drink. Why? Imagine going to a barbecue with cheese and asking you, do you want cheese? I don't eat cheese. Why? Why don't you eat? Nobody does that. The same thing with alcoholism. It's something that happens. And for me to be on a higher platform with an unstoppable message that nobody can argue with. A, I've been through it. B, I'm so educated in it. 3, I've got degrees behind me that most people don't have the opportunity to have, which means shit, by the way, when I'm teaching. But there's no limits on this. So let me finish with this. We wanted to find out limited beliefs from mesh parents and stuff like that. So we got 1,000 fleas from the pet store. We actually ordered them, and we took them onto my house, and we put all of them into a big mason jar, and we stabbed holes in the top so there was oxygen. And our fleas can jump 2 or 3 feet in the air. We left them for 3 days with this cap on, with the punctured things. After 3 days, we took the cap off. Not one flea jumped higher than where the cap, which was interesting. And here's the But when they had babies in that jar, the babies wouldn't jump higher than where the cat was. They'd never even seen the cat. Limited beliefs
Wow.
and
I love that.
enmeshment from
Yes.
parents and caregivers. And it's not parents' fault. Got to watch him, man. Take that cap off.
Man, that's powerful. That's a
Yeah.
powerful explanation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for empowering our community
Yes.
today. This episode, guys, it wasn't just about addiction. It was about identity. It was about choosing who you want to become, even when you didn't choose what you're going through. Dr. Robb, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time.
Thank you,
man.
Dr. Robb.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you. We'll see you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.